The ASU football team isn't out of the woods yet. The season finale is today against Stephen F. I'm Shani Morosky.
And I'm Grant Boone. We'll preview the Wildcats game against the Lumberjacks in East Texas and look back on the plays of the year on the Ken Collums Show right now. Welcome to week 12, the 12th and final week of the Ken Collums Show from the JMC Network studios on the campus of Abilene Christian University. I'm Grant Boone, joined by ASU junior all season long, Shani Morosky, and the head football coach of the Wildcats, Ken Collums. Today in the piney woods of East Texas, ASU against Stephen F. Austin, the season finale. Coach, you come into this game with a record of 5-6, but 3-4 in the Southland Conference. In your mind, how big would it be? What would it mean to finish 500 in ASU's first year back in the Southland Conference?
First of all, I think it'd be huge just to win this final game. You always want to win your last game. Everybody remembers how you finish. I can remember very vividly our Prairie View game last year, and so you want to win that last game. But in a bigger picture sense, whether we win or whether we lose, I don't think it's going to have an effect on how we feel and how we reflect on this season as an introductory season. But man, I want to finish 6-6 over 5-7. Who doesn't want to do that? And we're going to get after it this afternoon, and we'll have our guys ready.
You want to be 1-0 today, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Okay, now going back a couple weeks, you talked about how tough it was going up against your alma mater. Now today's game, you're going up against Clint Conk, who you were the assistant coach while he was head coach at UCA. What is something that you learned from under him?
Oh man, I learned a lot through him, and at that time in my life, you know, he hired me. He didn't know me from anybody. Hired me, and when I was looking for a job, didn't have a job, looking for a job, he said, "Come on, Ken, I got you." And I learned a lot of football. I learned a lot about organization. I paid attention quite a bit to him, just as far as how to be a head coach. Not that I was in a hurry to be a head coach, as I've never really been in a hurry to be a head coach, but when you're around a successful guy who we took that thing from being average to non-existent almost into you know, gave it some legs, and it grew into what it is today. So I learned a lot of offensive football through him. He's an innovator, and he demanded a lot of the quarterback. I coached the quarterbacks, and he was saying, all right, these are the things, boom, 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 that the quarterbacks are going to have to do. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I can teach all that and have them do it, but you know what? So what that taught me is you push guys and push them, and they'll learn it. If you teach it right, you teach them how the proper way that they learn, they'll be able to do it out there on the field on Saturdays.
Well, we will talk more about what Coach Conk has going on in Nacogdoches. It's pretty good. We'll talk about ASU versus Stephen F. Austin a little bit later on, but when we come back, a look back at Senior Day at Shotwell Stadium last Saturday. Glad you're with us for the Ken Collums Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Ken Collums Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Last week at Shotwell Stadium, the Wildcats welcomed in Northwestern State, a team with designs on making the national playoffs. And for those 60 minutes at least, the Demons looked the part. With a look at the highlights, here's Daniel Zepeda.
The Wildcats came into the game Saturday with hopes of sending their seniors off with one final home win in ASU's final home game of the season. After a hard-fought win last weekend against Central Arkansas, the Wildcats were looking to take care of business at home before hitting the road for the season finale. After ASU recovered on an onside kick to start the game, quarterback Parker McKenzie throws an interception in his first game back from injury to give the ball up just after one play from the line of scrimmage. The Demons were rolling on offense early as a balanced attack of rushing and passing moved them to midfield before the defense forced them to punt. A mental breakdown on the Wildcats special teams side gave the ball back to NSU at the 22-yard line. The Wildcats defense held up as they forced the Demons into a 39-yard field goal attempt that would be blocked by Damon Williams to give the ball over to ACU with 0 still on the scoreboard. Unlike against UCA, the Wildcats were unable to find much success rushing the ball, as backup quarterback KADE Munden was used throughout the game and accumulated 40 yards on 12 carries. McKenzie would struggle against the Demons secondary as the coverage breaks up this ball to DeMarcus Thompson.
The run with Herschel. No, it's a throw. Pass is intercepted. Intercepted.
Trailing 10-0, Northwestern's quarterback Zach Atkins would run 27 yards, resulting in a touchdown, giving NSU a 17-0 lead to sour the mood at Shotwell Stadium.
He's going to run it with the ball in his left hand, breaks the tackle. He's got 7 or 8 looking deep. Now goes sideline, caught by D-line, a near sideline across the 50. DeMarcus Thompson wants to throw again, wants to go left. Now dumps it, sideline intercepted.
Trailing 20-0 after the half, running back Herschel Sims came alive in the third quarter, taking this dump-off pass 12 yards for the first down. Sims would go to work in the third quarter as he compiled 3 catches for 32 yards and 4 carries for 20 yards, helping ACU get on the board with a Nick Grau field goal to make it 20-3 NSU. After holding the Demons, the Wildcats would put together another solid drive. McKenzie would find DeMarcus Thompson on this 18-yard pass.
Demo in motion, takes the snap, takes the handoff, takes that end around. McKenzie goes far right.
McKenzie would find Thompson at the back of the end zone for a touchdown to cut the score in half. NSU 20, ACU 10, as the Wildcats go 78 yards on 10 plays for the score. Thompson would finish with 5 catches for 70 yards and a touchdown. Northwestern would get the ball back and capitalize on this 10-yard pass, which would be enough for the Demons to score a touchdown to put them back up 27-10 to end the third quarter. The Wildcats strung together another drive to make it 1st and goal from the 3-yard line. McKenzie would keep it himself as he makes it into the end zone, but would fumble the ball on what would be his 4th turnover of the game and end the Wildcats' hopes of a comeback. The Wildcats passed for 270 yards against NSU's 238 yards, but struggled running the ball, rushing for 103 yards compared to NSU's 187. But turnovers really killed ACU as they gave up the ball 5 times, and NSU failed to give up the ball once. The Demons would finalize the game with a touchdown run to make it 34-10 and put ACU at a 5-6 overall record and 3-4 against Southland Conference teams.
Okay, Daniel, thanks. Final score 34-10. Northwestern State got after ACU pretty good last Saturday. Coach, you start out the game with a really cool-looking play. In fact, it's our play of the game. We'll start with it. It's the onside kick to start the game. So
it should be the play of the game.
Well, when
it
did you
took me a long time to muster up the guts to do something like this.
So take us through it. At what point do you make the decision to do it?
Well, I've been wanting to do this for about 4 weeks now, and it was a setup deal. We thought it might work. I really thought it might work. And when you do that, you put your defense in a predicament when it doesn't work, but I felt good about it. And Nick Grau is such a good athlete.
Isn't he?
I mean, he's a soccer guy. He went up there and bunted the ball and almost recovered it, and Nick Richardson gored him, so he didn't actually get it, but Nick ended up recovering it. So
now Nick knows how the rest of the Southland Conference feels.
That's right. And what that one play was a setup for was just a roller coaster of emotions in the first 5 minutes. You know, I mean, we're freaking out. It's awesome. I haven't done that as a head coach. That's my first time ever as a surprise onside to open the game. So we get the ball. 2 plays later, we throw the pick. Then our defense stops them 3 times on the first drive. Now, how that happens, you go 3 and out. They go 3 and out. They punt it. It shanks off of us because in the wind, and they get it back. We stop them again. We have a foolish penalty after the play, so it gives them a first down. So we stop them again and then block the field goal. So it was an up and down first 5 minutes. It's like, wow, this game's going to be crazy.
And it really kind of went that way the rest of the day for your team. You had KADE Munden start against Central Arkansas, and he was tremendous. Threw 3 touchdowns in his first quarter as a starter. He ran for another one, ran for 100 yards. You had him and Parker play a lot, both of them. You didn't get the results you wanted, and so it's easy to pick it apart. But as you look back at what happened with the 2 quarterbacks, Was it simply Northwestern playing very, very well against both of those guys? Was it those guys not having great games? Was it the supporting cast not helping them? Was it the game plan? Was it a mixture of those things?
I think it was a little bit of everything. When you go out and you turn the ball over 4 times on offense, it doesn't really matter who's in there.
In the first half.
That's exactly right. So part of that was, Parker made a couple of poor decisions, but the DBs made really good plays. I mean, those are some of the finer interceptions that you'll see.
Sure.
And it doesn't make me feel any better, but that's the fact. That's what happened. So KADE played pretty well. He made one decision that wasn't great in the run game, but I thought he competed hard, played well, got some. We executed some really critical third downs, and the fact is we've just got to play a little bit cleaner at the quarterback position. And by and large, we didn't really play well. Offense, defense, offense. We didn't run the ball well enough. Our wide receiver play was not what it should have been and what it could have been. And D-line wise, we got to play better against Gus and the boys this weekend. So I was disappointed in our execution of our plan. I think we had the right plan. I think we had the right approach. But you know what? Sometimes that happens. And when you have a running quarterback for the second week, people are a little more ready for it.
Yeah,
UCA was not prepared for KADE Munden in our run game. So there are various things that go into that equation of not winning a game.
I can't imagine what it's like to be a head coach on a sideline and to have the swing of emotion from one Saturday to the next. I mean, you are rolling against Central Arkansas. It's 31-14 at half. And then all of a sudden, the next week, you're losing 20-0. It had to have felt like the twilight zone for part of that first half.
Yeah, and it causes a lot of stress when you know your guys are not competing how they prepared and how they played the previous week. It's frustrating, but the bottom line is we coach 18 to 22-year-old young men, and so I don't even need to say anything else to know that, hey, the crazy things happen, and things are up and down. And as a head coach, you just try to keep them as even keel as you can.
And the reality is we've seen that. We talked about this. You see it in the Southland every week with teams that have been at this for a lot longer than ACU has. Big win, and then a disappointment the next week. Hey, wrapping things up about the game last week, Justin Stevens, 13 tackles. He's now one shy of cracking the top 10 in tackles in his ACU career for all-time tackles in ACU history. I think that's fitting. He should be top 10 in my mind. The way he's played these last 4 years, I thought that was a good way for him to go out at home, even though the final score wasn't what he wanted.
Yeah, he is a top 10 competitor of all time. I mean, he is a guy who embodies ACU football. He's sacrificed a lot. Physically, he's been through a ton. And he just looks at you and goes, you know what? You can count me in. I'm in. I'm playing. So those are guys that organizations and programs are built on. Those are cornerstone guys, and hopefully we've got some of these young guys that'll step up and do that. It takes a while. It takes some maturity to get to that level, though.
But they've had a chance to watch Justin Stevens
exactly right.
this year, the last couple of years. Like. That's right. Well, when we come back on the Ken Collums Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, we'll look back at the plays of the year in 2014. Hopefully we'll have a few more today to add to that highlight reel. As we go to break, take a look at scores from last week around the Southland Conference. And wow, look at today's opponent, Stephen F. Austin, what they did to McNeese State. Big win for the Lumberjacks, and AC will take them on today.
As ACU football wraps up its season later today, here are the top plays of the year from the Wildcats. To start our plays of the year, we have Parker McKenzie's first career start against Georgia State in the Georgia Dome. McKenzie got Southland Conference Offensive Player of the Week honors after throwing for 403 yards and 4 touchdown passes. One of McKenzie's passes was the 60-yard touchdown play by Cedric Gilbert, the first touchdown of the season for the Wildcats. ACU football would get its first win of the season at Troy with Nick Grau's 27-yard field goal putting them up 31-28 in the fourth quarter. The Wildcats would capitalize on the play after Troy gets called for pass interference on a play to Jonathan Parker, giving ACU a first down. Adrian Duncan would get this touchdown on the third down, giving ACU a huge win over Troy, 38-35. In ACU's first Southland Conference game, defense was critical in the 21-0 win over Incarnate Word at home, including this blocked field goal and 2 interceptions from freshman Sam Denmark. Defense would allow just 62 total yards in the first half from Incarnate Word. Wildcat offense would craft this memorable play with McKenzie tossing it to KADE Stone, who threw a 65-yard touchdown pass to Monty Green Avery. In ACU's homecoming game against Ave Maria, senior Angel Lopez intercepted an AMU pass to get the momentum going for the Wildcats' 55-14 homecoming win. Redshirt freshman KADE Munden would make a statement in his first career start, running for 100 yards and 5 touchdowns, including these 3 to offensive linemen Jonathan Parker, Noah Cheshire, and Jamie Walker. Defense also played big in the 52-35 win over University of Central Arkansas, including this acrobatic interception by senior linebacker Justin Stevens. Rounding out our top plays of the 2014 season, we have Jonathan Epps' interception in the fourth quarter, returning it 68 yards for a touchdown. The versatile Epps earned Southland Conference Defensive Player of the Week honors for the performance.
Touchdown, ACU!
With football's season finale today, basketball starts this weekend at ACU. Here's Hannah Little with more.
Thanks, Shara. The ACU men's basketball team hosted its first game of the season Friday against Hillsdale Baptist University. The Wildcats will play against the University of Tulsa on Wednesday in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Junior Riley Payne describes how the team prepared for the season opener.
Right now we're in a good place. We've been practicing hard for a long time, like I said. We're still not where we want to be as far as the overall season, but for right now I feel good about going in this first game, starting games, and we just need to continue to improve and get better.
The women's basketball team will play in its season opener Saturday against Wayland Baptist University. The Wildcats will then play Howard Payne University on Sunday. Head coach Julie Goodenough talks about what it means to start the season at home and what that means for the team.
We only get one opportunity to make a good first impression, or to make a first impression at all. And so Saturday we have an opportunity to play in front of our ACU family as well as the Abilene community. And we want to bring a great effort forward in our first competition. And so we've been talking about that this week. This opportunity for us to not only win a game, but win over some fans on Saturday. And so we've just been working really hard this week, preparing for our tip-off on Saturday. We're playing a very good Wayland Baptist team who already has 3 games under their belt. So they're a little bit ahead of us as far as that. But I'm looking forward to it. I think our players are really sick and tired of practicing and beating up on each other. So we're excited to finally play somebody else.
The women's volleyball team will close out its season at home this weekend against Stephen F. Austin at Northwestern State University. The Wildcats are coming off of back-to-back wins from last weekend against McNeese State and Nichols. Junior libero Madison Hoover, who has been out recently from a broken hand, talks about being back and finishing up the season at home.
Well, I'm not new to the injury thing. I tore my shoulder last spring, so I was out, and then I broke my hand. So I just knew I needed to get back in strong and be a leader off the court whenever I wasn't able to play. But then being able to get back in and play a leadership role and help my team out was really good. It was kind of like I had to get over it, like a fear, but I was the only person standing in my way, so I got in there and it was awesome to be back.
It's been a great season of the Ken Collums Show. Thank you for watching the JMC Network Sportscast. See you next week. I'm Hannah Little.
President Phil Schubert announced Thursday that Lee DeLeon was selected as ACU's 8th Director of Athletics. DeLeon will officially take on the role December 1st.
We knew first and foremost that we needed a leader who not only supported our faith commitment that makes ACU so distinctive, but could be the leader of that integration of faith into athletics in a powerful, visible way. We also knew that we needed someone who was a relational expert, who could build relationships far and wide and build the brand of ACU athletics and of the university and invite people to come on the journey with us to take us to new heights and great places. We knew we needed someone who was a proven leader of people, who could attract and develop talent, who could deploy a capable team towards strategic results that would push us forward. We also knew that we needed someone who could navigate the challenges and the opportunities of a very complex NCAA landscape in the midst of our transition to Division I. I have no doubt that Lee DeLeon is that guy. And I believe that God brought him here to us and us to him for just the right time.
The industry of college athletics and this business that we live in, it's not just a job for me, it's a calling. It's my passion. It's my purpose. After graduating from Notre Dame, I came back to God's country, aka Texas, and got my master's at Texas A&M. Since then, I've worked at 4 Division I institutions. Dr. Schubert mentioned already, LSU, University of Houston, University of Arizona, and New Mexico. Along the way, I've developed a personal mission statement that guides me every single day, which is to make an impact for Jesus Christ through college athletics. My prayer has always been that when I finally had that opportunity one day to become an AD, it would be in an institution where I could do that on a daily basis. Well, in God's grace and His perfect timing, today is that day, and that place is Abilene Christian University.
When we come back, we'll preview the Wildcats' last game of the season. Stay with us on the Ken Collums Show.
Back here on the Ken Collums Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Take a look at today's schedule around the Southland Conference, brought to you by University Park Apartments. Coach, how about this game? McNeese State at Southeastern Louisiana. I mean, this is epic. You got 5-1 Southeastern against 4-2 McNeese. McNeese has to win this game to have a shot. Even if they win, they may not win, because Sam Houston State, which is at Houston Baptist, as you see there, they're also 5-1. Sam and Southeastern don't play each other this year. So for McNeese State, an enormous game, and for Southeastern, they have to hold serve at home. We haven't seen Southeastern, but we've seen McNeese. That should be good.
That should be good. And what we're finding out is there's quality football every single week in the Southland Conference, and hopefully next year we'll be in those discussions.
Yeah, well, we'll get Southeastern.
That's right.
You'll get your wish. Careful there, because they're awfully good. We'll see them next year. In fact, we'll see them in a home game. Well, let's talk about today's game. ACU at Stephen F. Austin. The Wildcats come in 5-6. The Lumberjacks of Stephen F. at 7-3. They are 4-2 in Southland Conference play, and Coach, they still have designs on winning the Southland Conference. At 4-2, if they win out, they've got Northwestern State next week at home. If they win today against your team and then beat Northwestern State and get a little help, then Clint Conk, your old boss, could find himself in the mix for a Southland Conference title. Coach, they've got one of the best offenses in the Southland Conference, one of the best in FCS. They've got Gus Johnson, arguably the best running back in the nation. 19 touchdowns, that's second in the nation, nearly 1,300 yards. So your old boss, Clint Conk, inherited Gus Johnson, but he brought with him his son as quarterback, Zach. Zach's accounted for 23 touchdowns. Is this the best balanced offense that your team has faced all year?
Central Arkansas was really good. They were very, very balanced. We just did a really good job on them. But you look at SFA, those two guys, Gus and Zach Conk, they complement each other really, really well. Zach is growing into the position. You see him early in the season versus now, and he looks more like a quarterback that is an operator, not just some big guy that can make some throws and runs for touchdowns. He's scored more touchdowns than most running backs.
Yeah, he has 12.
And the best friend of a quarterback, I always say that he's a good running back. And man, does he have one in Gus. Gus Gus is really hard to tackle. He's got just enough speed to where after he breaks the first and second tackle, if it's your safety that misses the tackle, he's probably going to score. And he's done that. He's done that pretty much on everybody that he's played. So we've got our hands full with those two guys.
You knew Zach when he was a little squirt, didn't you?
I knew Zach when he was a little squirt. He's about 6'6" now, and he's not a little squirt. He's a big squirt now. So, yeah, he used to be our ball boy. He used to do all our little kids camps. He used to hang around the office when I worked up at UCA. Great kid, great family, and it's just interesting to see him now at 6'6". It's 6'6". It's like you're not even the same guy.
I hope you didn't pick on him.
I did pick on him, and so
he's gonna take it out on you.
Yeah, we're gonna hope he doesn't do that.
Well.
Okay, now looking at our offense. Last week we saw Parker McKenzie and KADE Munden both get significant playing time, and you've talked about Parker getting back into his rhythm. So what can we expect in the last game today?
Well, we can expect Parker to protect the ball way better than he did last week. In his last two starts, he has not done a good job of protecting the ball. He's turned the ball over too much, and in those two games we have not won. And we've turned into a little bit of a team and it's kind of spooky but we'll either go into the game and we'll protect the ball and play really well, or we won't protect the ball and not give ourselves a chance to win. So some of those turnovers, there's a lot when somebody turns the ball over. It's not just, oh my gosh, he didn't know what he was doing, or he held the ball and threw it too late, or there's a lot that goes into that. And a couple of those were really good plays by the defenders. A couple of those DBs made really good plays. So what we can expect is Parker's going to run this gig, and he's going to do it way cleaner than he has in his past two starts. And but you know what, KADE brings some really positive situations on third down. We're able to add an extra blocker in there, and that makes a real difference. You see teams across the country use the quarterback as a runner, or just use a wildcat quarterback, and what that does is it gives you one more than they've got. Normally the defense has always got one more than you, but when you run your quarterback, it evens things out, and that's why we'll continue to use KADE in those situations, and in several other situations.
Hey, we talked about this some last week with it being senior day, but today is your final game of 2014. It means that you're going to see some guys suiting up in a Wildcat uniform for the very last time. And I don't want to go through all 15 of those guys, but Coach, when you think about what these guys have invested, the abuse their bodies have taken over the last 4-5 years for the red shirt guys, it's always an emotional day, isn't it?
It is, and when you see them for the last time before the game, and you're just able to look at them in the eyes, and you don't even need to say a whole lot, but you know that there's a little something different because they know there's a finality to it. And the fact is they're going to go out there and play their guts out. And our guys play hard anyway, but when you know you're playing your last game.
You talked about marbles. You got one marble left.
You got one marble left,
yeah.
And that's what we've talked about. And when you know it's your last game, and it's the last game for an institution and a program that you wholeheartedly believe in, that brings out the best in you. And we'll play with heavy passion. Yeah. And you know what? If we play with a little too much passion for a while, I'm going to have to live with that, because these guys are passionate people, and these seniors, the reason that we're going to where we're going as far as the FCS level is a large part of because of the people that have been here, and they are a big part of that.
Last game for the seniors, our last show today. And there's been a group of people that's kept us from losing our marbles up here on set. It's the students here in the JMC department who have put this show on. So if you've enjoyed the Ken Collums Show this season, then I'd like you to get to meet some of the folks who've put the show on. So they're going to join me on stage, and as they join me, take a look at their names as they go by on the screen, but also remember, 3 o'clock kickoff today. Come on up, come on up. Don't be bashful, come on up. There's Daniel and Savannah and Brittany and Destiny and Adrienne. There's Josh. Don't forget, you can tell me what you want for Christmas while you're here. Don't forget, 3 o'clock kickoff today in Nacogdoches. Lance Fleming and I will have the pregame show beginning at 2:30 on the ACU Sports Network. That is 98.1 FM on the radio here in Abilene and around the world on ACUsports.com. So I have no idea if anyone's even still in the control room and if we're even still on the air. But if we are, and if you're watching, thanks for watching the Ken Collums Show all season long, presented by Buffalo Wild. Enjoy the game.